It's ninja time. Tsubame is upon us.
I heard you have a request for me. Is that right?
I like how her voice is muffled in the mask. I think that's a really nice touch for the trailer. I wonder if you have the option to take it off and on in game. Coin flip, okay. Now this is a super hype character. Oh, we got animations again. Nice.
Tsubame Tachibana is on the way.
Tsubame Tachibana. All right, show me some abilities. What do you got? Ooh, I like the elite cloak. Movement, speed, and brushes maybe. Dashes, stealth. Oh god, she's full ninja. Double dash. Another dash. Shuriken skill. Shuriken character. Looks like she also has a two-handed sword.
Beautifully from the deepest and thickest mud.
I love this music. This song goes hard.
Stop overthinking and remember your goals, Tsubame.
She looks flashy. I like that.
Quick like a cat.
Yeah, she's gonna be squishy as hell probably. There's one dash again.
Now.
Ooh, I like the rake and the stealth from bushes. This character's gonna jump around all the map, dude. Didn't see a wall dash yet though. A wall run would be crazy. There's a backflip. It looks like. It looks like a marked flip.
Just wait till
She's ranged though. It looks like. She's carrying a two-handed sword.
You do it. Now I'm one step forward.
Oh, I hope her two-handed sword's a katana. That'd be really cool. Initially, I thought Tsubame's trailer lacked the personality we saw with Alonzo and Lenny, but after some research, it's turning out to be quite intense. Here are the 18 things you might have missed in the trailer. Thanks to Jackie, aka Dead Space, for helping with the translations. Please check them out. They're an awesome creator with an amazing aesthetic. This text roughly translates to have honor in death and not shame in life. Through my intensive scholarly research of going on Reddit, I've found that this quote is from the ancient Chinese work, forgive my pronunciation, Wu-Zi. If you're a male, as 98% of my audience is, and you think about the Roman Empire at least once a day, you'll know that this quote is from Tacitus, a Roman historian. The meaning is super similar to the previous quote. From what I've gathered, this two-finger stance is called, once again forgive my pronunciation, Prana Mudra. It's a Buddhist hand seal that can be pointed towards the sky or at a target. It's used in meditation to help promote concentration, but in media it's been adopted to be seen a lot with shinobis. When pointed upwards, it's a sign of distress or a general warning. This coin was a bit hard to distinguish whether it was Chinese Hanzu or Japanese kanji. It either means sun wheel or solar disk or wheel union. Let me know in the comments if you can distinguish it. These swirling leaves around Tsubame indicate that it has something to do with her passive. I'll touch on it later. And for our first clip of Tsubame in action, first we see that she starts off with a basic attack. It's a ranged attack and it looks to be shuriken, so she's probably a shuriken weapon user. We then see that she gets movement speed from this attack. This doesn't confirm if it's on her basic attacks or if it's on the first instance of damage. She then has a 3-mark passive with the same symbol that was on the coin at the beginning. It appears under Aiden and lights up blue when a part is activated. The second mark triggers when Tsubame throws out the shurikens, her probable cue, and the third mark triggers when Tsubame basic attacks the second time. When the mark is full, these little shurikens appear in a line connected from her to her target, allowing her to dash through them. A clone is also left at the position she came from. This clone then dashes through the target as well, and it looks like there are no effects on this. It's just raw damage. Before the clone dashes through, it looks like the shurikens appear as they did before Tsubame dashed. This potentially could be a return dash if she does it before the clone dashes through. We won't ever see her do this though in the trailer, so it's highly doubtful. After the clone dashes through, a log is left behind where the clone was. Just hold off on this for now, I'll talk about it a bit later. Tsubame then ends with a stealth roll, which is probably the E. Before I play this clip, we see the log from earlier is either placed by Tsubame or has spawned on the ground. We don't see how it was placed this time, but as I said, I'll get to it. Don't worry. The log also has the same leaf effects that we saw floating around Tsubame at the beginning, so that leads me to think that the leaf swirl around Tsubame at the start of this video means that the log is off cooldown. Starting the clip, Yuki already has full marks of passive, so Tsubame leads with her clone dash. Then she immediately turns and dashes back to the log, so that's the double dash. It's probably conditional since another log didn't spawn where the clone did, like in the Aiden clip. We also see that the logs split at the location that she dashed from, which I think is a nice touch. This also resets the mark passive on Yuki, so there's no cooldown for this passive it looks like. She can immediately start stacking it again, and the fact that both abilities and basic attacks proc it makes me think she might be an AP character rather than just amp. In the next clip we see Shuriken weapon skill on the ground while fighting a Jackie. Unless some other character put this on the ground prior to the fight, Tsubame is confirmed to be a Shuriken user. We see Tsubame with what I think I called a katana in the reaction portion of this video, but seeing it slowed down, it's actually an executioner's sword. Tsubame then says, Goro used to say lotus flowers bloom most beautifully from the deepest and thickest mud. I don't think in the lore we know who Goro is yet. but maybe I'm forgetting somewhere. I would assume he's either her master or something relative to that. This quote also comes from a Chinese text of a Buddhist proverb, but I was unable to find a picture of it. We then get a silhouette of a lotus flower, followed up with what I imagine again is her cue, the shurikens. This next sequence is a bit of inference, but if it's intentional, I think it's pretty cool. We see Tsubame mimic her abilities in this cutscene. She does the hand seal again, which shinobis do to perform and execute. It can be a spiritual thing, almost like a prayer, or a sign of respect, or to hold in your chakra. Not in the Naruto sense, but in the Buddhist sense again. It's got a couple meanings. Then we see Tsubame's dash again, which we can see is with the executioner's sword, and lastly, she holds the pose at the end. Holding the pose at the end, which can be compared to a samurai doing the same thing. Again, with my extensive scholarly knowledge of going on Reddit, it seems that the samurai does this to expel hatred and regret from their target, while a shinobi would do this to inherit the karma of those they have slain. In this next clip, we have a unique stealth roll animation from Tsubame. I imagine it works the same as Aisla's roll. This one's super interesting to me because the roll that Aisla does is commonly referred to as a ninja roll or a forward shoulder roll, which is typically done after you get knocked down or tripped to avoid being grappled. Tsubame's roll is what's called a gainer front flip, which I imagine is just to show more elegance and grace, but it feels like Aisla's roll would be more fitting. Tsubame also leaves behind a puff of smoke, which I think is a cool effect, and then the log appears from earlier. In media, this is called a ninja log. When a shinobi is presumed to be killed, they disappear into a puff of smoke and leave behind a log. Sometimes it's not a log, but a dummy or a vase, or in comedy, it's even the shinobi's clothes. A notable example of this is Greninja in Smash Bros using Substitute. It comes from a shinobi legend that using various objects to check for ambushes. In Japan, this is known as kawairimi, meaning transformation sequence. Also, there's a random Nadine in this bush basic attacking her. Despite it looking like Aisel got hit with Q shurikens passing through him, and when the shurikens landed, it only applies one stack of passive. This could mean that both stacks of Q only apply one stack, or that the Q passing through doesn't do damage, and just the landing does damage. All the clips, except for the Aiden clip at the beginning, have started with Tsubame's enemy having at least one stack of passive already, so we haven't been able to confirm if the movement speed buff is on the first basic attack or the first instance of damage. We see Tsubame dash to the target again, and then dash back to the log. This is tough to tell because she dashes straight to the log and not through Yuki again. Because she misses the Yuki entirely by dashing back to the log, this makes me think that she can't return dash before the clone dashes through. Once again, we see dash 1 on Sua, and this time we get the movement speed buff. This tells us that it's on damage and not on a basic attack specifically, and it looks like it probably has a short cooldown. Because the first part of this Sua clip was cut, we can assume that she got the first movement speed passive by building passive stacks, and then this is probably the second time it's up. We know it's not on the dash specifically because in the Aiden, Yuki, and Magnus fights earlier, she didn't get the dash, but she actually did get it on the Jackie and in the Sua here. After killing Sua, Tsubame stealths away, and this time she doesn't leave a log behind. This tells me that the log is an independent cooldown, not relative to the clone dash or the stealth roll. We see here that her passive and the log both work on animal hits. And here's further evidence of the log having an independent cooldown. The log spawns on the dash through Felix and doesn't spawn again on the stealth roll. This also might be a stretch, but to my knowledge, bots stand still when you go stealth because they no longer have an input command registered. Tsubame rolls by a campfire here, which if you didn't know, campfires grant vision, so Felix continues to chase after her. This just confirms that her stealth works like every other stealth in the game, whether it's Aisel or dagger skill. I was hoping that a shinobi character would have some kind of true stealth where campfires and cameras wouldn't reveal her, but I guess that would be a little bit too broken. I want to believe that there's some hidden meaning here at the end, and maybe I'm just reading into things a little bit too hard because I wasn't able to confirm anything online. The best I've got for you here is just one of my theories. So we see Tsubame kneeling here in temple with her sword over her lap. From what I've read online, in media, having your sword in your lap like this is a sign that the area might be unsafe or that there's a threat nearby. I think this is super fitting to her personality given the quotes that she's had throughout this trailer, but she appears to be praying, and this normally isn't done during prayer. Take what you will from that. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this analytical approach compared to my normal trailer analysis, and let me know as well if I missed anything that you noticed. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I do trailer reactions to all the newest characters coming to Eternal Returns, so click or tap the screen now and you'll be taken to a playlist with all of my character reactions.